In this video session, we are going to create a menu field, and for those of you who like to follow along in the book, it is on page 250. Okay, to get started, menus and lists display a set of options from which a user can select one or more responses. There are two types of form fields that have the same basic underlying structure, but with different appearances and purposes. A basic menu shows a single option, and a perfect case of using something like this would be if you were doing name, address, city, state, and your form was going to be available to all 50 states. One of the drop-down menus you could build would be with all the states, to where all they would have to do is open the list and pick their particular state. So that is kind of similar to the one that we are going to be building today, except much shorter. So anyway, let's get started. The first thing that you need to do is make sure that you've got signup.html open. And we're going to create a new empty paragraph after the email field. How we do that, once again, is by clicking right after the field that we just created a little bit ago in the last video, last name, and hitting enter, which gives us another line. Now, the other thing, make sure you have open is the form field at the top, because we're going to be inserting form elements. And what we're going to do is drag down what they call the select button, which is right next to the radio button. It is on the left-hand side of the radio button if you happen to look at the screen right now. And what I am going to do is just drag it down. Oops, doggone it. I'm going to have to undo it. For some reason, it got stuck and didn't drag where I wanted it, so I will try it again. There we go. Okay, and so what you want is where it's located right now, right underneath last name. In either panel of the document window, what we're going to do is we're going to change the field label to read, how did you hear about the Desert Voices Music Festival? I am going to choose to do it in the code view in label, so I will highlight select, leaving the colon, and type that in. So you go ahead and type it right now. Actually, that should be a question mark after that. So let's go ahead and change it to a question mark. And then hit refresh at the bottom of your screen. And scroll back and you will see indeed it did put in, how did you hear about the Desert Voices Music Festival? Okay, next what you want to do is you want to click on the select box to where you have the little dots around it, and then use the properties panel to change the field name to source. So we will go down into the properties panel and type in source. Also, with the field selected in design view, click the list values button, and the list values button is also in the properties panel. So we are going to click the list values button. Hopefully you can see this. I'm not sure you can. It is a drop-down box that has item label and value, and we will be typing into both of those. So I click inside the first item label area and type social media with capital letters. This is the part that the viewer will see. Then I'm going to hit the tab key, which puts me into the value area. And I'm going to type lowercase in this, just the word social. And this is what is sent to this value box, is what is sent to the server along with the other information of how did you hear about the Desert Voices music festival. So this is how it is sent to the server and how the person receives the information. The capitalized side is just what shows up on the website. Okay, once I have done the lowercase social, I'm going to press the tab key again. And this time, with capital letters, I'm going to type in radio ad. Hit the tab key, type in radio, lowercase. Hit the tab key again. The next one that we are going to put in is email with the capital. And then tab and email lowercase. And then tab. And the next one we're going to put in website ad with capitals. And then we will type in web lowercase and tab. And the next one we will put in is newspaper, capital, tab, and paper, lowercase. Last but not least, we're going to put in friend with a capital, and then tab and friend, lowercase, and tab. After typing the friend value and pressing tab, what we are going to type in is the word select with a dash before it and a dash after it, and select will be capitalized. So dash, the word select capitalized, and dash. Now once you get that in, what you want to do is at the top, just to the left hand side of the OK button, you're going to see an up arrow, and I want you to take the word select and move it to the top. Why we want to do this is when the drop down box is shown on the website, what's going to show in that box by default is the word select. So the user knows that they have to go there, open up that drop-down box, and pick something below. So it's always wise to use select like we just did for the top of your drop-down boxes. Once I have select as the top item listed, I'm going to click OK. And that saves the select in the top when you see it on the screen. Now the last thing that you need to do here is go down to the bottom, and what you're going to do is click on select in the selected list as well. And then once we've done that, we are going to go up and do a file and a save. And we will continue with the next exercise. Okay, the next step of what we are going to do here is we are going to create a checkbox. And this is starting on page 252. We're going to use the same thing that we've been previously using. What I need you to do is click right after the drop-down box that we made. Okay, and the first thing that we are going to do is open another new paragraph. So I hit enter, and I'm now below the drop-down box area. And be careful dragging your checkbox. Just like I had issue with the select item, you may have a little bit of trouble with getting the excuse me, the checkbox where you need them. But what we need to do is to the right of the radio button is the checkbox. So hold it down, drag, and release it to where it is in a paragraph of its own, right underneath the select box that we drop down box that we just did. So the very first thing that we want to do after we do this, either in the pane of the document window or in the label field, and I'm going to choose to use the label field. So I'm going to highlight the word checkbox, and I'm going to type in, yes, Send me the latest news about the Desert Voices Music Festival, and I would like you to do the same. Okay, they put an exclamation point at the end of music festival. Okay, the next thing that we need to do is select the field, the actual checkbox to make it active. So the next thing I do is go over and click on the checkbox until I see the dotted lines around the checkbox. And then I'm going to go down to the property field. And what I'm going to do is type in the value area, agree. Now, just so you know, by default, that checkbox is not selected, but it is very important to know that the checkbox, if you do not set a value inside of it like what we just did, okay, if somebody checks it and you don't put a value in it, if it is checked, it will say on when you get the messages through the server. If it's not checked, it will say off. So on and off is how the checkbox works if you don't declare a value in the value area. What we've done is put the word agree in, so when the message comes through the server, it will say that the person has agreed to the latest news about the music festival. Once I have done that, all I need to do is hit Control S to save my work. Okay, the last area as far as building the form goes is the add, submit, and reset buttons to the form itself, which are both important and crucial buttons to have. So again, what we're going to do is create a new paragraph. So let's click right after the word festival with the exclamation point, hit enter, which starts us on a new line. And then what we are going to do is drag the submit button from the form insert panel. So I need to find the form submit button. Hang on. Okay, the form submit button is the one with the check mark in it up in the insert panel. You'll see where I'm hovering over it right now. So what we want to do with that again is drag it down into the new paragraph. In the property panels, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the value area where it says submit. Now let me share with you what this does. Whatever you write in this box is what shows up on the button. Actually, I would just leave it as submit if it were me, but what they're going to have us do is write the words sign me up. So that's what we will do. So type in sign me up and then just hit the tab key. And that will put it in there, and you will see once we do a save on all of the, oh, it's showing up now. I didn't think it would show up, but it is showing up. Now once we have that done, what you need to be aware of is the scripting that you get, and you will have to read about it from your hosting server, will go into these boxes down here. So somewhere in your form right over here in your submit button over here. So what you want to do is read the instructions carefully that you get from your hosting server to know exactly where that scripting needs to be input here. Once we have finished with the sign me up button, what I want you to do is click right after the sign me up button and hit your space bar one time so we create at least a tiny bit of room between the sign me up button and the reset button. Now to do the reset button, all I do once I've done the space is go up right next to the submit button that we built and hover over it, and you'll see reset button, and all you need to do is drag that down and let go to place your reset button. And the reset button is all programmed. You don't need to do anything else to it. So at this point, all you need to do is hit Control S to save your work, and that completes this session.